Shoutouts, Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey. Wait. Let me make sure. Okay. So, sorry, for whatever reason, I felt like I didn't have the right mic. Anywho, I am Tamara. Welcome back to the show, or if it's your first time, thank you so much for tuning in. New episodes drop every Thursday, and to all my regular listeners, thank you so much for continuing to support, listen, retweet, give feedback when needed, whatever. I am just kind of, and it's probably because my 2-year anniversary is coming up next month, and I've just really been thinking about the journey and the people that I've met on Twitter that have been hella supportive with this podcast, blogging, like everything I'm doing, you guys will support it, even my company tweets. And it's just wild because I have not met any of you in real life, like not even the podcast crew, though we, you know what I'm saying, do video calls and movie nights and just all these things, emergency meetings, be in the group chat every single day. You feel me? But I have not met any of y'all in real life, and I've just really been reflecting on that. So when I say I appreciate you listening, I mean that. When I say I appreciate the support, I mean that, because y'all don't have to do that. Let's see what other announcements. Podcast happy hour. The next one is October 30th, which is a Saturday. It's going to be at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. It's going to be hosted on Chris's platform, which the link to her Twitter is literally in my episode notes every week. All the pod crew, just because, you know what I'm saying? You got to follow all of us to stay on top of where we gonna be, what we doing, and what not. You can listen to their shows because they all have their website links in their Twitter bio. So that's kind of why I just do that one, because it's, I feel like, the most efficient way to follow them and listen to their shows. But anyways, yeah, so make sure y'all come check us out. It's gonna be a Halloween extravaganza. Don't fully know what she has, planned, because we never really share too much of that with each other, but it's definitely going to be a good time. If you've watched it before, you've got to catch it. I mean, you already know it's best to catch it live, but if you've never watched the podcast happy hour, basically myself, Khris from Shenanigans with Friends podcast, Autumn from the Lit Life podcast, Audrey from Odd Tales podcast, and Jay from Jay's Quick 3. The 5 of us have built a friendship, and we were already getting together and doing virtual movie nights and all these things, and then we just decided to do a monthly live show, basically letting y'all in on our group chat foolishness. So the more our friendship grows, it just gets more and more funny because we're a mess. So that's that. Live show next month will be the next spoken word event. So I'm finally gonna have another live show, and I'll get back to being more frequent with that now that I kind of own my time more. But myself, Penrose, and Lindsey, we're getting back together. We tentatively have the date set for November 12th, which is a Friday. I don't remember the time, so look in the episode notes because I'll make sure to put that in there. But that is actually my 2-year podcast anniversary, so I kind of wanted to have it that date. That is how I'm going to celebrate my 2 years writing. If you know anything, is my first love, spoken word and writing poetry and all that. I've been doing that since I'm 26. Excuse me. And so that kind of is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I've always wanted to host spoken word nights, and it's virtually, but it's still dope. So make sure you come check that out. Again, that's going to be Friday, November 12th. Look in the episode notes for the date. I mean, the time, because I don't remember what we agreed upon. Let's see what else. I'm getting back to my weekly podcast shout outs. I finally took the time to sit down and add some more to the list. And a lot of these are people I'm in another retweet group. So I was in just one and I got added to another. And so a lot of these, new people that I may not have listened to their podcast, but they're super supportive with mine. So I want to give them a shout out. It might be something you're interested in. So this week we have Cherry Avenue True Crime Podcast. I meet so many. There's a lot of true crime podcasts out there. It's really interesting. But they say in their bio that it is narrative true crime podcast currently featuring, y'all know I can never talk, currently featuring based on a true story movies. So the link to their website is going to be in the episode notes. Dang, it's wild that I host a podcast the way I be messing up on my words, but I guess life is just trying to keep me humble in many, many ways, because that's the only reason that should be like, I should be able to talk perfectly. I literally at least once a week host my own show, you know what I'm saying? But your girl be struggling, and I've been struggling, and clearly that's not going to change. But anyways, make sure you check them out. I am loving the fact that I can record in the middle of the day now, or today's Wednesday. And my show drops on Thursday. So I am really loving this. Now I could talk about it just more frequently now that I've made it public. But, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I run a consulting company, and I was working a full-time job while doing that. Long story short, my job made me make a choice, and I chose my company. And so I'm really just focusing on building my company, because I'm in a situation for right now where I really can. And so it's kind of cool seeing the different people reaching out to me for things that were on my list to do later, and now I have the time to create curriculum. So I'm right now working on this business essentials workshop, because facilitating workshops is something that I've done in previous jobs. And so I figure there's a lot of things that it's going to talk about: the 6 business structures, how, like, financial literacy, but more so just kind of like what I've learned about how that ties into your business. Let me think what the others for. Content, leveraging content creation, networking, branding, and marketing. I feel like there's another one that I can't remember. Let me actually look real quick since I'm talking about it. See, this is what happens because I don't even make notes for stuff anymore. I kind of just talk about whatever is coming to mind, because that's just where we're at. Let's see. Where is, of course, I can't find it, because that's how life goes whenever you bring up something that you weren't prepared for. But in the meanwhile, while I look for this graphic, I'm working on creating the teaching curriculum for this business essentials workshop, which it was requested that I do that for a specific company. However, of course, I'm going to teach other people and make it something that I can just make money. Oh, social media efficiencies. Okay, let's start all over so this sounds like I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the 6 most commonly used business structures: financial literacy. financial literacy, marketing and branding fundamentals, leveraging content creation, social media efficiencies, professionalism, and networking etiquette. And those are just 6 things that I really feel like are just to make sure I'm all about having a solid foundation in all that I do. And so I think those are just 6 key areas that have been helpful with me with having a solid foundation for my business. And it's crazy because some of that stuff I learned as a podcaster and promoting, my show. And so that's what I'm working on right now is this business essentials workshop, and it's just been really cool just kind of seeing how everything that I've done for the last over a decade has really just it's so easy to kind of create different things because it's stuff that's in me because I've been doing it for so long, you know what I mean? So really it's really exciting. And then you're gonna see, if you follow my business page on Instagram or Facebook, you're gonna start seeing more videos of just me talking. I've only kept it to just a Saturday video because that's really all I had time to do. But now I've just today, because today's Wednesday, added a Wednesday wisdom video where just, customer service has always been something that's like super important to me, and professionalism in the workplace and just all these things. For whatever reason, this has always been, how you have those things that you're passionate about. Everybody has it, and that it's important to you. That's always been a thing. And so I'm just trying to drop little gems just because at the end of the day, if nothing else from my business page, you're going to get some sort of free game, as I like to call it. So it's pretty cool so far. I mean, it's hard. It's because it's scary, because it's like I'm really betting on myself that I am going to be successful. And I know I will, for the simple fact that everything I've ever invested in for other companies, I've gotten promoted and I've been successful at that. So I know I can do it. But of course, there's always fear in new things. I've never run a company before, but like I've said in the past, I have a couple business mentors, and if I need to add more, then I will, just so that I can have as much knowledge and support to be successful. I learned this with podcasting. Networking is so important, and in anything we do, we were not created to do life alone, and so that is the same with business. Now, you got to have the right people around you and all that you do. So sometimes having the wrong people around you will have you thinking like, well, I'll just do it on my own, but that's unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? You can't do anything on your own, because even if you have a business, you need customers. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like having the right people around you that believe in you and want to see you successful and aren't intimidated by the thought of you being successful is such a beautiful thing. And I have 2 super dope mentors that like they genuinely care about me growing my business and doing well and give me, insight, and super grateful for them. So also, speaking of gratitude, my gosh. So 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, so today, 2 weeks ago, my gosh, was when I recorded the episode with Juice. And if you didn't listen to that yet, that was episode 98. Yeah, episode 98. Funny episode where we just both share different stories from our past. And Juice's energy is always hella contagious. So like every episode I've recorded with him, because he's been on the show between a episode and then he was on the last karaoke battle. Oh, before I go into this other thing, the karaoke battle, because I was sick, was rescheduled. So if you happen to listen to the episode, the Big Rich Town episode that just dropped earlier this week, and you hear me talking about the karaoke battle that was supposed to be October 4th, you didn't miss it. I was sick, which I'm going to get into that. That's what I was going to talk about. And so that's actually rescheduled for Tuesday, October 19th. So this coming up Tuesday at, okay, let me get this right. 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific. And Khris, Baylor, both of them have been on the show before. And then Ivan from Views from the Seven podcast. They are all competing in a karaoke battle. And in all things that I do, whether it's a guest or it's an event, I always choose people that I think of what is the overall vibe. So not like based on the vibe of a person, but what is the overall vibe that I want for this event, and what people that I already have rapport with. Because if you don't know, I have a degree in psychology, so I am pretty good at reading people's behavior patterns, personalities, and all that good stuff. Or also, especially listening to people's shows, because you kind of get a sense of their personality. And so I always think what people can bring whatever vibe that I'm looking for. And that's how I choose. Like, no one ever asked me. The people that have been on things, actually, I should say it like that, have never asked me to be a part of it, which, matter of fact, they agree when I ask them to do stuff without even fully knowing what they're agreeing to, which I always appreciate that. And I'm getting better at like trying to communicate stuff to people ahead of time, because of course it's in my head, but they need to know. But anyways, and so these three, I gave them the task of, can you guys just each create a video kind of talking stuff to each other, because they do it naturally, because I want to create, some excitement about the battle. And, we always talk about people understanding the assignment. I love, and if you go to my personal IG, you'll see the videos all on there, because I'm not about to tell you to dig through my tweets, but it has been so hilarious, and the battle ain't even happened yet. So karaoke battle, it's going to be live on my YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook page. You definitely have to come vote, because they are competing for a prize, such as if you saw the last karaoke battle. And yeah, it's funny because sometimes people's internet isn't synced up with mine, and so they're singing as they're hearing, but they're off from what. It's just funny, and I love it. So, and karaoke is just something that I love, and I really just am, and it's going to be even more so now, like bringing things that I enjoy, because I'm not just a talk about my feelings type person. I'm a very diverse, I guess is the word I'm going to use, person. But it's like I've been so work and grind for a long time, because like I didn't graduate from college until 35. So it's like for the last over 10 years, it's been grind. Then the girl's dad was killed. So then it's like deep grief, helping my youngest navigate her mental health struggles and all that. So it's just been always a lot of stuff. And I feel like I'm finally in this season where I have a better life balance, where I have more time for kind of like my own self-care. I feel like as much as I talk about that on here, I've really kind of put that in the back burner to everything I've always been working towards. And so this is where you see my hair. I've been doing 2-strand twists. It's not like I didn't have hair and that's why I wore the wig, and there's nothing wrong with people, because there's been a point in life where I've cut all my hair off. I think I was like 33. So it's like I've been there where I had a lot less shorter, hair than what I have now. But it's just I didn't feel like dealing with it or doing it or taking the time. So I would just have it in some braids underneath, or I would do crochet styles. And I'm going to go back to that, but it's kind of like it's important for me to have my self-care days for myself. And like I've always liked doing my own pedicures more so than going to the salon, simply because I feel like there was a point when I was gonna pursue going to nail school. So like when I say I've always needed some sort of creative outlet, that's really what I mean. And so there was a point when I was actually just started doing nails, which a lot of people will start stuff before they, get their barbers or cosmetology license or whatever. And I'm a perfectionist, so it's like I know how I want my feet to look, and so I actually enjoy more so doing my own pedicures rather than having someone else do it, because I feel like designs, if I ever want to get into that, okay, they have an advantage on that. Although there was a point where I was even doing all of that. I just haven't done it in years. But they have an advantage on that because of the angle that they're doing things at. But everything else, I've always felt like I did it better because I knew how I wanted it, and they just trying to hurry up and get in and get out and whatever. Even when you pay for the more expensive ones, it just seemed like it was never whatever. So I've enjoyed even doing that every couple weeks, doing my own pedicure. And it's just become this day where I do my pedicure and wash and twist my hair and all this stuff. And that's a little bit newer. And I'm not saying my feet was out here looking crazy, because I was having people do them before. So let me just put that out there, because y'all know how y'all like to hear things and say it how you want. But anywho, yeah, I've just kind of really have a better balance now, and so I've really enjoyed it. But your girl, woo, when I tell y'all I was sick. So as I was saying, I recorded that episode with Juice 2 weeks ago. Thank God I recorded that in advance. Sometimes when I have guests on, I like to record things in advance in case there's technical difficulties. It gives me at least a week to edit, but y'all know my editing be hella minimal. All the all the messing up on my words, y'all gonna get all of that, because if you don't know, the show is y'all. First of all, this show is kind of like my public journal, and like my growth, you know what I mean? But also it's y'all writing, my train of thought. So y'all gonna get whatever comes out. Now, if there's like some super technology issue, okay, I'll edit all that out. But other than that, But yeah, when I have guests, I like to kind of record about a week in advance if possible. Thank God, because I recorded that Wednesday. And I think on that episode, I don't think I talked about it on the Big Rich Town episode, but I recorded that the next day. And then that Friday, my God, I got so sick to where I didn't get out of bed for now, except like use the bathroom, of course. And that was even a struggle because I had like body aches. I had the flu, basically. That's what I'm going to say. I never went to the doctor. So if I had COVID, I'll never know. But I was quarantined because I couldn't literally get out of bed except to use the bathroom, and barely ate and all this stuff. And it was crazy. Like I kept getting a fever, and because I'll get the flu about once a year and it was all the same as what I'm used to, I just did what I normally do, which is just rest, drink fluids. I got this friend that always gives me hippie remedies, as we like to say. So she actually brought me some elderberry syrup and some other stuff. And that's how I handle it. And then, eventually I'll get better. But it's so crazy because in total, I was sick for 2 weeks. And I still kind of have a cough, but that's pretty typical whenever I get the flu. But the span of time where it was like I couldn't get out of bed was about 6 or 7 days. And it's crazy because when I was listening back to the 2 episodes I recorded, when I was saying like, man, I don't know if it's allergies, because also when the weather changes, my allergies act up. So like there are certain things that just happen. And so, I didn't really know what it was, but it's just amazing that I was able to record those episodes, because my gosh, I was so sick. And it's just crazy because there was a point where when it first started, I thought I was getting better, actually, like, because it wasn't really, it was kind of like my typical, if it would have been allergies. But the only reason it was a little bit different is because I was starting to have body aches and I had a fever. So I knew it was more than that, but it also wasn't, it took a while, it seems like, to get to the level of flu. Like normally that happens a little bit quicker, but it's also super like dope that I didn't really have to worry about work. I literally did nothing with my company, and after several days, because I scheduled things in advance, so for a while, even though I was sick, y'all wouldn't have known because the scheduled posts were still scheduling. But once I couldn't like sit in front of my computer to, schedule anything else. And so then I just on my phone made I'm sick, posting will resume when I feel better. But I'm grateful that I had that and I didn't really have to worry about work, because I definitely didn't even have a week of PTO when I left that place, because they'll put that on your last check. Didn't even have that. So I don't know what that would have looked like if I would have had to consider work. And I also feel like I wouldn't have given myself the time to get well, that like you need to just rest. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're sick, but I always, because I've always had so much to do, am always like pushing myself to hurry up even ahead of time. If I even slightly feel better, I'll hurry up and try to do this, that, and the other, because I have to. And the responsibility in me doesn't want to slacken that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I've said it on here before, my mom instilled a work ethic in me. And so people can say a lot of things about different mistakes that I've had, but one thing people cannot say is that I'm lazy when it comes to work or whatever. Like, and so I'm super grateful that when I was that sick, I didn't have to worry about hurrying up and getting to work. Like it's my company. My boss said that I needed to just rest. I slept. When I tell you I slept so much, I easily probably slept like 20 hours a day, because I would wake up and still have like body aches. And it was like, at first I wasn't even really taking Tylenol and whatever, all like that, just because sometimes I hate taking medicine. That's kind of why I'll have my friend bring me her little hippie, like more natural remedies, because there are natural remedies that, can help you feel better, like such as elderberry syrup. That was super helpful. But also I was just so tired and whatever that I don't know. I just sometimes would forget or not even think about taking Tylenol. And so like I'm having these body aches and whatever. And so I would just go back to sleep. But I was also just tired. So it's kind of like there was just a lot going on. And, somebody, I forget who I talked to, they were saying how, I think it was Baylor, how like you have those body aches because your body is doing what it's supposed to do, because it's trying to fight the fight the sickness. And I'm like, dang, my body, they was in there banging, trying to win or whatever. And eventually I got better, but I'm so grateful for my health. And it's crazy because I remember there was a point where, and like I said, the span of time of me being super sick was only like 6 or 7 days. The rest of it was pretty manageable, and I was like up moving around, but it's like I was sick, so I was just staying home. But man, there was this point where it's like I forgot what it was like to be healthy. And it's crazy because I had so many dreams because I slept so much, and such vivid dreams that I would remember them when I woke up. And in my dreams, I'd be healthy and, you know, walking around feeling good and whatnot. Then wake up and it was sickness still, and it wasn't real. And I'll be so, it was crazy. And I just remember feeling like, one, it gave me such empathy for people who have like terminal illnesses, because like I knew at some point I would feel better. You know what I mean? But there are people that really, and maybe all their life have dealt with illness and pain and whatever, or maybe they got a terminal illness later in life where they remember what it was like being healthy, and now they're having to whatever. And it just gave me such empathy for these people. And it's not like I didn't care before, but I just remember thinking, like, I've never broken a bone, you know, or anything like that. So there's certain things that people go through that they lose mobility or their just ability to function how they're used to. And some of that stuff I've never experienced. And I've always said I'm grateful for that, because one of the things I hate because of the responsibility in me is when I can't do what I need to do. So like couldn't do anything with my company for 2 weeks. I didn't do anything. And well, nope, that's true, because stuff was already scheduled. So it looks like I was doing stuff, but I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Because I would like try to, and I would be so tired. So man, definitely feeling better though. Definitely, one, grateful I recorded in advance, because it's always super important to me to not miss a week, just because I haven't. And I don't know, maybe there will come a time when I miss a week. I hope there doesn't, because I mean, really, I could just record from my phone and not have the YouTube upload and just tell y'all whatever, because that's where I'm grateful also for the structure of my show, because I could talk about anything I want, because this is about my life and the ways I'm trying to grow, and that's my content. And I know a lot of people that have specific structures for their show, they don't have that luxury. So I'm also grateful for that, because, you know, here I am just rambling about whatever, and this is the show, and people appreciate it. And this is why I say I appreciate y'all for real, those who are regular listeners, because my show is literally about me. And yes, I'm encouraging y'all throughout, and I share what I'm going through, because a lot of times people go through stuff and they feel like they're alone. And so I share my struggles so that, you know, you're not alone if you can relate to what I'm talking about. But it's literally just my life, and y'all want to hear about it. So I appreciate that. I'm trying to get into even uploading more different types of content on my YouTube. So like more videos of just regular stuff. I just kind of got to get in a groove of that, and like being sick threw everything off, but I'm better. So I'm back in, I'm better. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here though. Just wanted to kind of give y'all this update. Let me make sure I don't have any more announcements. Again, make sure y'all check out the karaoke battle Tuesday, October 19th. The information will be in the episode notes. Like I said, podcast happy hours, October 30th. Make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally. Make sure that you know your worth, because sometimes people will try to say whatever to try to tell you how they think you are, try to tell you what they think your motives are. But if you know, and this is based on a true story, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But if you know who you are, you don't have to receive that. Like, words are seeds planted that if you allow them to take root in your mind, they can grow and they can shape your identity. But I am oftentimes, when people try to say stuff that I know is not true, I will say that's not true. Well, I'm not receiving that. And it's me telling them, but it's also me telling myself, like, we're not going to let that seed be planted. So make sure you are out here loving yourself, investing in yourself, knowing yourself. I love that now I have the time when I wake up in the morning, and I've been waking up later just because I'm still kind of getting my energy back. You know what I mean? But the first thing I do when I wake up is I journal, and I journal just whatever thoughts. It's not really structured any sort of way. And what I love is that it's really just getting that junk out of me. That's part of me being mentally and emotionally healthy, is not having this stuff just in me, because I know that I am an external processor. You know what I mean? And that I process things by talking it out or writing it out or whatever. And there's just something about writing that tells your brain to prioritize it and remember it in a different way. That's why when I go to church, I take notes. You know what I mean? I rarely ever read the notes again, but it's just helps me process things in a different way. So make sure you're out here, you know what I'm saying? Self-care. As you can see, I've never been perfect at it. I've done what I could do with the time that I've had, but it has always been something that in some way or form, make sure you have self-care, because as much as we want to grind this, that, and the other, if we are not out here taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be able to physically or mentally do what we want to do. Make sure you're taking care of yourself physically. I've even, being well, like I said, has just given me such an appreciation for my health. And it's not even like my diet was terrible prior to getting sick, but I've even switched up some things even a little bit more, just because it's like what I eat. I'm just at the age that I can't eat a ton of junk because it makes me feel crappy afterwards. So I've, added some different things. Haven't worked out yet. I may wait till like Monday to get back on that, but that's okay, because it's important for me to make sure that I'm fully recovered before I jump into stuff. The season that I'm in, I'm just like, I don't feel like I have to rush this, that, and the other. Make sure you're healthy in your relationships. And not even going to get into this situation, but I will say this. If you care about a relationship, you have to be willing to hear someone's point of view when they're telling you how what you do makes them feel. And telling somebody that they're too sensitive to I'm not going to say this is why you're doing it, but all that it does is invalidate their feelings. Because here's the thing. Let's say maybe that person is being sensitive. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, if they're telling you that the way you say something or what you're saying affects them in a way, if you care about that person, you should consider that. Now, if you don't care about that person, that's different. But there was a situation, a different one, where me and my daughter got into it, and we were both in the wrong. And then when she told me how she felt about certain things, I had to consider that. Now, I had my reasons for why I was doing things a certain way, but I still had to consider my methods for what I was doing, how it was affecting her. My methods weren't translating to her the way that they needed to be. She was receiving it a different way. So that means, what is more important? Me doing things my way and forgetting how she feels, or considering what she's saying and making compromises? And then vice versa, because we had to have some conversation about stuff on her side. And the thing about it is, the relationship is always more important than being right. You know what I mean? Like, no one is always right. There always has to be compromise, because we were all, however many people there all are on this planet, and I don't care if you're twins, you're still wired completely different. So make sure you're out here being, you know, healthy in your relationships as well. So that's all I got for y'all this week. Thank you so much for tuning in, like I said, and I will talk to y'all soon.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for...